Good morning and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast Morning Market Roundup with Chip Nellinger. Chip, not a whole lot to talk about other than the Chinese saying keep your meeting because we're not coming to it thing, and some more tariffs got slapped upon that. So I guess what do you make of all that?
Yeah, well, I mean, the market action kind of tells you what to make. Beans, down six and a quarter, and corn down three quarters. Actually, at one point we had beans down, about eight and a half, eight and three quarters here in the overnight. So, yeah, that was the biggest news. It's just like every time you start, feeling a little bit better that maybe the worst is over in the bean market, you get another round of bad news. So, you go back 2 weeks and we had some talk that maybe there's going to be another round of negotiations started, and that was the path that was taken. And then here over the weekend, China says, no, we're canceling that. We're not sending people to Washington. We're tired of being bullied. We'll leave it at that. So that was negative in its own right. And then we had at midnight overnight, 200 billion of tariffs go into effect. That wasn't new news. That was scheduled already. But, the combination of that and the cancellation of any negotiations at this point with no known date or timing on if or when those will happen again is definitely, negative. And especially right now when you have harvest kind of advancing. There have been some rains around in areas, particularly north. And then kind of in the mid-south, there's been a lot of rainfall activity. So there are some isolated harvest delays right now. But it's that time of year where it's hard for the market to do much. And we had a little bit of, good close for the week across the board and everything here right at the very early stages of harvest. So there was a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. But this is definitely disappointing news that for the time being, trade negotiations are off. China's, thumbing their nose at us saying we don't want to be bullied. So we'll see what the next step in that is, but it's definitely not a positive occurrence here that happened overnight. Otherwise, news is fairly quiet. Harvest advancing. The market's going to look this afternoon, 3 p.m. Central, for the latest update on harvest activity and what percent complete we are. The market kind of hangs on that fact that once we get to about halfway point on corn and bean harvest, you can kind of start logically thinking, all right, the worst is behind us, and we should be close, if not have seen our harvest low. So that's just going to take a few weeks. Into this week, we've got quarterly stocks report. That'll be big Friday morning, 11 a.m. Central. Quarterly stocks, that'll give us an update of stocks in all positions. That's different than, this most recent report we had that gave us ending stocks. This September report does, in fact, because it's the end of the marketing year, gives us your official old crop 2017 carryout figures. So that will be what we use going forward. That was where, the amount of bushels, corn, beans, wheat that we're going to carry over into the new crop position here. And that'll be the official number that the USDA uses going forward. And then we'll adjust crop size and demand to kind of see how it all sifts out as far as new crop. So those are always big numbers. Quarterly stocks numbers can be pretty volatile. So we'll see, what, if anything, that does to the market. But between now and then, it's probably going to be pretty quiet. And, at least seemingly to start the week, nothing super supportive with this disappointment about the China trade negotiations here.
Okay. So what's the latest in the livestock market after you take a look at here we are a couple weeks past Florence and how's the hog market reacting to production slowdowns?
Yeah, we had a good strong week in the hog market and cattle market as well. That's kind of the bright spots of the ag world right now. So did have a nice rally, really kind of building on the last 2 or 3 weeks here in the hog market. And obviously these supply and production disruptions from the hurricane still sifting through the market and affecting it. But also you have ongoing, the swine flu issue and, some kind of fears and even some reports that maybe that had spread outside of China. So that obviously is a supportive factor longer term. So it still remains to be seen how we're going to kind of handle the cleanup and how we're going to get back up to speed after this hurricane. They're still cleaning up in the Carolinas, North Carolina especially, and obviously that's where a lot of hog production is. So kind of had a negative day Friday after a new high, multi-month high in hogs. We'll see how we start the week here. So it's slowly but surely we should kind of get some of that production and processing capacity back online. But if we can hold this week together without a huge loss, I think that you have some upside here. You're getting towards the end of the third quarter, obviously. And when you start talking about going into winter, fourth quarter and first quarter, things usually tighten up supply-wise. You're past the biggest supply period in hogs and cattle, both from a production and supply and output standpoint. So I think things look fairly good. We did have a cattle on feed report, switching over to the cattle side. Cattle on feed report Friday, that was seen as a little bit negative, and which isn't a surprise. That was expected, but the placement number was really, really big on the high side. If I remember back here, maybe just a touch higher than the highest estimate. So we got record amount of cattle on feed and continue to put a lot of cattle on feed. And that was negative, especially from the standpoint of, we had a nice rally going into that report, which is a little bit odd for the last few months. Usually we're kind of more reserved going into those reports, but the cash market's been strong. Traded steady last week, which is, a little bit of a moral victory, even given that a negative report. Probably going to kick the market off a little bit lower here would be my guess in both hogs and cattle. And then see where we go from there. But, strong week. That was the bright spot. We had a really nice close in both hogs and cattle. Bearish cattle on feed. We'll see if we can shrug that off and then, gather ourselves for, maybe some more upside here over the next week or two. That would be a moral victory.
Right on, man. Well, a lot of stuff going on as usual. So, guys want to work on a plan or have you revise a plan or even maybe help them build a plan, how would they do that, Chip?
Yeah, all those steps are critically important. We'd love to chat with you. The best way is just call our office, 309-550-7213, and I'd love to chat with you for a few minutes.
Sounds good, Chip. Well, we'll talk to you again probably on Wednesday, and we'll go from there, man.
That sounds good. We'll talk to you then.
All right, thanks, Chip.
All right, thanks.
Yep, bye.